Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josh Blon, and welcome back to our series on 7 means of achieving depth in a drawing. Now, today is going to be our 6th mean of achieving depth, and this one is going to be talking about the degree of detail in our image. So, one thing that you'll notice, like if you take a picture or anything like that, if you look in the distance, it's hard to make out detail. And if you're up close, it's really quite easy to make out detail. And so we can apply the same thing to a drawing. If we want something to appear to be close, we draw it with lots of detail. While if something is in the distance, it doesn't have as much detail. And so you can use this in your drawings. Also, it can make it quite a lot easier to draw some stuff because you can focus on one thing and draw it perfectly shaded and colored and everything, and stuff in the distance you don't care that much about, and it looks great because it just adds that little bit of depth that you might need in your drawing. So today we are going to show this using cars because cars have a good amount of detail in them. I apologize for my car drawing skills, they're not quite up to par. So we're just going to start with our front car. So we'll just quickly kind of sketch the tire part. It'll be kind of what will become the front of the car, I suppose. There we go, that'll go back a little bit. Make a little mirror coming off. There we go. And there, that's kind of the shape of our car. And then we're going to do one other car, and this car is going to be back here, kind of in the distance. So we'll just quickly kind of draw the wheels. We're going to have it in a different position. It probably won't be the same kind of car, but yeah. And there we go. So there are both of our cars. There are some things that we're going to be adding to both of them. We'll add just like a tiny little bit of shading underneath this one in the distance, just because shading's a wonderful thing, and it can just make your drawings look great. And then we're going to add a little bit of shading to this car right here, but we're going to be a little bit more detailed with our shading. So I'm going to do this just kind of by making a few layers of shading in different parts. So the entire one's going to get this. I'm going to add another coat, but it'll be kind of a little bit closer to the center. This doesn't necessarily happen with some shadows in real life, but it depends on what the object is. And so yeah. So we just add a little bit of detail to that. I'm going to blur it just to make it a little bit more appealing. Because, yeah, those weren't very nicely blended. Now they're a little bit better blended, and so that shadow's just looking a little bit better, to me, at least. And so, yeah. So, just by adding a little bit of detail, it's already working for us, and it's great. So, just gonna quickly move on. I'm just gonna keep the tires in the back and all that kind of stuff, just with very little detail. In the front drawing, though, I'm going to kind of make them a little bit darker because they'll be a bit darker compared to the car, as tires are generally black or just some kind of a darker color. Just bold the lines around there. Now we're going to be dealing with the front of the car. So for the back car, we're just going to do some really, really quick little details. Give it a couple kind of funky headlights. We'll give it just a little grate kind of here on the front. Shade that in just a little bit, just to make it look a bit better. Just a little more detail, and that's all we're doing in the back. In the front, we're going to put just a little bit more detail in. Oh, that's too big. Yeah. We can make it better. There we go. So that's perfect. And so that's our light. And so that's quite a bit more detail, which is excellent. We're just gonna make kind of the front grate now. There we go. So yeah, not tons of detail, but a little bit is always good. But as you can tell, it's quite a bit more detail than the car in the back. So there we go, that's kind of the front part of this, which is great. Okay. Give that just a little bit of detail. We'll make the center kind of a little bit, this strip here, we're going to make that just a little bit of a lighter color, just to kind of represent a little bit more of a glare. We're going to make a little windshield for this car in the background. We're not going to shade it or anything. We could give it another side window, just because, yeah. And that's basically it. That's all the detail we're giving to that one in the back. And this front one, we'll just kind of bold the outline a little bit. And there we go. So as you can see, the front one is quite a bit more detailed. It has bolder lines, and it looks a lot closer than the one in the distance. And we're using a few different things here. One of the things that we're using is kind of, you might be able to call it atmospheric perspective, because the one in the back is a little bit less bold than the one in the front, but you could also say that it's the size of the cars or where we decided to place them. But in the end, it is also because of the amount of detail. On the front car, there's a good amount of detail. The back car, there isn't really much detail at all. And so detail is something that can be very, very useful at kind of skipping over some steps if you want to. Just it can make a drawing a lot easier, because you notice that you don't really have to put tons of detail into this stuff in the background. And so, yeah, quick little way that you can be a little bit lazy in your drawings and still have it look great, because it just adds depth to your drawing, so it's not really even being lazy. And so, yeah, thank you everybody so much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.